Hey everybody, I'm Joey, and today we're gonna thrill your grill with this whole beef tenderloin. This impressive cut of beef is the perfect way to wow your crowd, so follow me and let's turn up the tasty. I bought this 9-pound behemoth from Costco, and I'll show you how to go from this bag of beef to a dinner that will leave your guests raving. This large beef tenderloin produces many cuts of beef, like the Chateaubriand and more commonly, the filet mignon. Now, this is a whole untrimmed tenderloin, which I bought for about $12 a pound, and I'm gonna trim it myself. Now, if you buy the same tenderloin pre-cut into fillets, you're gonna pay north of $20 a pound. Now, the first thing we need to do is get set up. I have a cutting board, a flat blade knife, some paper towels, and a plate. Next, we wanna get the beef out of the bag, and technique is important even here. If you open this bag wrong, these juices will end up all over you, and you'll look like Carrie on prom night. So the first thing we're gonna do is lay it flat and pinch the top of the bag like this and make an incision all the way down. Once it's removed, I'm going to discard this bag with the juices still in there and use these paper towels to pat it dry. This just makes it easier to work with by drying off some of that purge, that's that leftover juice that's in the bag. As you can see, there is a lot of fat and silver skin on this cut. That silver skin is chewy and basically inedible. This is not something we want on our final product, so we're gonna remove it. We're gonna go ahead and clean it up. However, before we do that, we need to trim away the chain. It's this part right here, and it has a lot of fat and connective tissue, so we need to remove it. You can almost follow the line with your hands and get in there with your knife and just remove this portion. This is really good meat, so don't discard it. Most people will tell you just to grind it up for burgers, but if you don't have a grinder, you can trim it up for some awesome Philly cheesesteaks or tacos. Just go ahead and set it aside for now. Next, we're gonna continue to clean it up. Now right here, this is all that silver skin I was talking about. As you can see, it's right here. It's kind of shiny, kind of silver. That's where it gets its name. And what we're gonna do, we're just gonna do the best we can is we're gonna make a little incision right down here at the end. Take some work. Get in that silver skin. Open it up like that. Now, we're gonna come the other way with that knife at the 45-degree angle. Just do our best to remove as much as we can without removing the beef. As you can see, it's nice and clean, looks much more like a tender, edible filet that we're used to seeing. Let's go ahead and get the rest of this off. All right, now we have this totally cleaned up. As you can see, there's a little bit of fat remaining. I don't try to get it all off. This is actually edible, but the silver skin is removed. Now we have a decision to make. How many people are you gonna cook for? You'll need about a ½ pound per person, and you can cook this thing whole cleaned just like this, but this thin end down here is gonna cook much faster than this thick end over here. So in order to get it medium rare here, you're gonna have it well done over here. So our solution is we're gonna tie this meat up so it cooks at an even temperature. Tying it up will bring those muscle fibers together and allow it to cook, again, all very evenly. We're gonna wrap this tail portion underneath here just to create that even thickness throughout. So once we have it like that, we're gonna take this string right here and we're gonna begin to tie. I'm not gonna show you how to do a full butcher's tie. That's can be a little bit complicated, but we're just gonna do a very simple tie, just like this. Wrap it around a few times and then just bring that together like so. Get it nice and tight. Just do a little double knot and repeat. Now this is an absolutely gorgeous piece of meat, and it's gonna look tremendous sitting on your dining room table for all your guests. If you're cooking for a crowd, this is certainly the way to go, but we're cooking for a little smaller crew today, so I'm gonna show you how to cut this up into more manageable serving sizes and have some leftover filet mignon for a nice dinner, or some nice petite fillets for some steak and eggs. No matter which way you cook it, whole like this or trimmed up, the recipe from here is gonna be the exact same. So follow me and let's get started. In addition to the chain, which I removed earlier, there's another muscle right here at the top on the thick end that is separated by some fat. The first thing I'm gonna do is just go ahead and remove this. And I'll tell you what to do with this in just a moment. Do not throw it away. This is perfectly good meat. Since we're cooking for that small crew today, I'm gonna cut some of this into fillets, and I'll leave this center cut roast for throwing on the grill. This is gonna be about a 3-pound roast, and it tastes just tremendous. We're using this smaller cut, as I mentioned earlier, but you could use the whole roast uncut and tied. The recipe is exactly the same. As you can see, this looks just like a perfect store-bought beef tenderloin in its whole form. Look at that. It's easy to see where the fillets come from, and that's just what we're gonna do now. We're gonna cut off some 8-ounce fillets. Now, as you can see, we have some nicely cut fillets over here. These are about 8 ounces. This is about 6 ounces. And right here, this is that muscle I removed. As you can see, this is incredibly good meat. Next thing we're gonna do is just like we did with the whole fillets, we're just gonna tie this up just to bind those muscle fibers closer together, allow for some nice even cooking. Once this is tied up, we're gonna go ahead and get this in a bag to marinate. All right, now that this is cut, it's ready to go. The next thing I wanna do is I wanna marinate this for at least 2 hours, preferably overnight if I have the time. So I'm gonna get it in a gallon bag here, and then wash my hands before I touch this bottle. Food safety is no accident, ladies and gentlemen. So here I have a marinade that I bought from my local butcher. You can use whatever you like or make your own marinade using some red wine, garlic, and Worcestershire Zerzer. It will turn out great. But again, I like to get this here in the bag so we can let this marinate for about 2 hours. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get it right in the fridge. But the important thing is you wanna remove this and let this sit at room temperature for about an hour before cooking it. That will help promote nice, even cooking throughout. So I'm gonna get this in the fridge, and we'll be right back to finish it up and get this tender, tasty cut of meat on the grill. Okay, so this was marinating in the fridge for about 2 hours. We pulled it out, and it's been sitting here on this plate resting for an additional hour. Just like I told you, we're gonna get some additional seasoning on it, but before we do, I just wanna go ahead and pat this a little bit dry. Some of that off because we're going to use some oil, and we really want it to stick on there. So get that. All right, now we're ready to season. In here I have about 2 tablespoons of chopped rosemary, a tablespoon of thyme, and 2 tablespoons of chopped minced garlic. We're going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And let's go ahead and get this mixed up and onto this tenderloin. Look at that. That looks absolutely fantastic. Just gonna spoon this over and get our hands a little bit messy here as we get this on all sides. All right, I don't know if we cut it all on film, but I have been washing my hands a lot throughout this video. So we're about ready to get this on the grill. We're just gonna hit it with a little bit of our Big Tasty Steak Rub. This is a simple rub we created using common ingredients found in most kitchens. Probably yours too. We've included a link in the description below. You can use this or season it with whatever you like. But we're gonna go ahead and apply this thoroughly on both sides. Give it that nice crust as it cooks and add a lot of additional flavor. Let's go ahead and get it in there. All right, one final wash of the hands, and then we're gonna get this on the grill. Food safety is no accident, ladies and gentlemen. You guys hear that at home? That right there is a sound of tasty. So I want to talk a little bit about what we got going on here. We have a 2-zone fire. This is a thick cut, so it can't cook over direct heat the entire time. We're searing it over this blazing hot fire on this side for 2 minutes per side, and I'm saying that there's 4 sides. We're gonna rotate it 4 times, and then we're gonna move it over here to this indirect heat and allow it to finish its cooking. So we have these blazing hot rockwood charcoals. They light fast and burn hot. And to impart a little additional flavor, I added some soaked apple chips, which will add a nice smoky note to this as it cooks. All right, now we're ready for our first flip. Okay, that fire's going a little bit hotter than I want it, so I'm gonna go ahead and close the lid to get that flame down just a little bit. We're gonna let it cook for 2 minutes, real nice and hot. As you can see, that high flame really seared the top of it, but that's not really burnt. That just creates some nice additional flavor that will meld into the steak as it cooks over indirect here. Because those flames are a little higher than I want, I'm just gonna go ahead and close this up for about another minute. Just bring the temperature down just slightly. All right, look at that smoke. This has been cooking for a total of 8 minutes, 2 minutes per side. So we're gonna flip it over here to the indirect heat. Oh, look at that. That looks fantastic. So that had an internal temperature of about 60 degrees. We really need to get that to 125 to 130 degrees for that perfectly cooked medium rare temperature. We don't want this overcooked. So we're gonna come back and check it every 7 or 10 minutes. Usually takes about 30 to 40 minutes to get it done. It really all just depends upon how hot the fire is. So on these grates right here, I have them about halfway open. It's starting to real hot, feels like it's about 400 degrees right now, but because the Weber isn't great at holding heat for a prolonged period of time, that temperature is gonna come down as it cooks, closer to about 300. That's totally fine. Again, the main thing is we want the internal temperature of that roast at 125, 130 degrees. So grab a beer, throw in some sports bets, watch the big game, and we'll be right back. All right, so this cooked to an internal temperature of 130 degrees. We pulled it off and it's been resting here for about 10 minutes. So now we're gonna cut it open, cut it into thin little slices about 1/4 inch thick. And it's so good, your guests are gonna be very impressed with your cooking skills. Actually, the hardest part is going to be leaving some of this left over for some of them to eat and not taking it all yourself. But let's see how it looks. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this real thin. Look at that. All right, there we go. It's got an awesome color. Look at all that juice coming out of there. That is fantastic. So look at that. Great color on the inside. We got a little bit of heat over here, a little bit more well done over there. But this is gonna be a very tender and flavorful cut of steak. Let's check it out. Wow, that is absolutely fantastic. This is absolutely going to knock the socks off your guest. In closing, I just wanna say thanks for following along with Red Meat Lover on our meat journey. If you like our video, please give us a thumbs up like, or even better, subscribe to our YouTube channel for future updates. It's one of the best decisions you're gonna make if you love to cook and love being in the kitchen. So thanks a lot and we'll see you next time. Wow. Look at that.